first ever tutorial, so bear with me. I'm going to show you how to flat a comic page. I'll show you first quickly what exactly a flat is. It is that. So it's just basically flat colors laid down on a page so that the colorist can come back in and select areas of the page really fast. You see, I have my tolerance set up too high, but here we go. See, so you can select part of the face, the shirt, whatever. Just makes coloring go by a lot more quickly. Okay, so here we go. This is the page we're going to be working on. And this is a page from a comic called The Young Flame. And first I'll show you how you set up the page to get started doing your flats. First thing is you check and make sure that your page is in RGB color mode by going to Image and Mode. Sometimes you'll get it and it'll be in bitmap or grayscale. Just go ahead and change it to RGB and then you're ready to start. First we select all, so you're selecting the whole page, and then you copy that, and I paste the line art in a new channel instead of layers. I've heard that it saves on processing power your computer needs, so it's like a smaller file. And then you go back to your layer and you delete everything that was there. And then you can come back and turn on your channel so that your line art is back and you now are working on a blank layer. So there's no line art there. You won't interfere with any of the colors. Any of the line art while you're making your colors selections. Okay. And this is where I start. The line art has been deleted, the page is ready. I always fill the background with a solid color, usually a blue or green, it really doesn't matter. When you're flatting, your colors don't really matter, unless the colorist you're working for has specified the colors he'd like you to use. You really don't need to worry about it. Well, here we go. I was about to get started without explaining what I was doing. Okay, the tools you use for flatting are your selection tool. I always use the polygonal lasso tool, and occasionally just the regular lasso, but polygonal works a lot better for me, personally. I also will sometimes use the pencil tool, and you have to make sure when you're flatting that your feather right here is set to 0 and the anti-alias option is unchecked. You want to make sure that your lines are solid and not feathered or anything, because it'll mess up the final flats. It'll make changing colors and everything for the colorist a major pain. So, okay, let's get started by separating out the panels. I always block out panels first. Just makes it easier. This page only has 3 panels, so I'm just going to separate out these 2 in the same color. It just works for me. You don't really have to do this any certain way. And you use the paint bucket tool to fill in your selection. You also make sure that your tolerance is set to 0 and anti-alias is unchecked on your paint bucket as well. So there we go. Panels are separated out. I'm going to go ahead and flat these 2 panels for you, and then I'll flat this other panel and post another video of it, maybe speed it up a little bit so you can see a whole page being flatted. have to listen to me jabber on while you watch it. Okay, first we're going to do the little boy. I just choose a generic skin tone and fill in the whole panel because he takes up the whole thing. Okay, and I usually, when I'm working, I'm zoomed in at about 100 to 200%. It really doesn't do you much good to go in further than that. You can pretty well catch everything at 200%, unless you're working on a very, very detailed page. Okay, and when you make a selection, you see how I went out of the lines. You can do that everywhere the colors don't touch that you're wanting to change. So I'm explaining that strangely, but you see how inside the skin color I need to trace the lines, but outside of it I can loop through it. That will save you a lot of time, so you don't have to trace every single line over and over again. Okay, so we've got his teeth, and I do teeth and eyes the same color, just almost a white, total white color. And a good thing to know is that when you have your polygon lasso selected, you can hold down the control key on your keyboard and change it over to the regular lasso tool if you'd like. The regular lasso tool, you just trace the whole thing. It doesn't make the straight line that you connect. Just try it out, you'll see the difference. Okay, I need that same color. I changed it on accident. Okay, now I'm going to do his eyeball. I'm going to make him have blue eyes. This is really more of a walkthrough than a tutorial. I'll link in the description, link you to a really good tutorial on flatting, the one that I actually learned from. This is pretty well what I do for my full-time job, so it's really pretty fun, but it can get rather tedious if you're doing it all the time. These lines are really thin, so you've got to be a little more careful when you're making your selections. And basically, you just want to make sure that your selection is basically in the middle of the line. Another good thing to know is that you can end your selection and hold down the shift key to add more to it without getting rid of what you've already made. And I'm of course on a PC. I'm not sure if the keys are different on a Mac. They might be. But shift will add to a selection like that. And if you hold down Control instead of Shift, that will take away from a selection. If you made a mistake and need to just go fix a little piece of the selection, then that works really well. Okay, almost done with the tears. Now the more you practice this, the faster you'll get, and then the more pages you can flatten a day, which is a good thing. When I first started, I couldn't do very many pages a day.